Hey there, let's make sure you're in the right place. We're talking about the hidden costs that women pay for doing everything all alone. I was one of those women who had to do everything by myself. Not only by myself, I was just had to do it because I had to be in control. Well, there is a cost to that, and we're going to talk about that in just one moment. Hello there, hello there, hello there. Welcome to Stress Talk with Marcyline. We are introducing a few things over the next, I guess we have 3 more weeks. We're introducing something. I hope you're watching because last week we introduced the first pillar. This week we are introducing the second pillar. Make sure you're also following me on Instagram, on Facebook, on For Real Social Workers, online magazine as well, because you're going to get all of the parts and you're going to be the first to know what this is, what we're pointing to. I'm just going to jump right into our topic for today because this is something that um, I've dealt with personally. It's also something that women that I know and associate with deal with personally as well. And I wanted to talk about how we pay the price for doing everything all alone. Um, it's something that's, mm, well, it's something that, I'm going to get into it, okay? I'm going to talk about why high achievers, first of all, resist help. And then I'm going to talk about what isolation is really taking from us, what we lose from it. There's a lot to share today, and so I'm going to drop a video next week to share strategies that can help you rebuild reciprocal support because so often we feel as if we're giving, but we're not getting it back, or we're helping, but we don't get that in return. And so I'm going to drop a video next week to talk about how we can build reciprocal support systems. And I'm going to share some practical steps for you to try. Okay, how about that? But let's get into our topic for today. And this, I keep segueing, don't I? And this is really, this is related to the second pillar of this thing that I'm going to introduce. The second pillar is Ubuntu. Ubuntu relates to the to community. I am because we are. And if you're following me on Instagram, I've posted quite a bit about this second pillar. So this is talking about building community, using community, being a part of a supportive community. All right, so let's talk about why. Why high achievers resist help. Let me pull some things up here. Okay, we're talking about the hidden costs women pay for doing everything alone. So next, we're going to go into the topic, why high achievers resist help. Okay, so there are a number of things, number of reasons. First of all, women are viewed as caregivers. We're the people who take care of the children. We take care of other adults. If you are a daughter and you have um, older parents, elderly parents, the expectation is that your role is to take care of your elderly parents versus perhaps your brother's role or a male person in the family. But culturally, the message that we receive and the message that is often shared is that it's the woman's job to take care of other people. It's our responsibilities. Inherently, because it's viewed as the message is that it is our responsibility, it's our job to take care of others. What's lost is that we also need someone to take care of us at times. And so the message tends to be we're the caregivers, but not the care receivers. We are not the ones who should receive care because we give care. That's embedded in many cultures around the world. In addition to cultural messaging, there's also professional conditioning. You know, it wasn't too long ago where women were expected to stay home and take care of the home, take care of the family, take care of everything related to that. It what in the last 40, maybe 50 years, which is not very long ago, um, there weren't a lot of women in the workplace. There weren't a lot of professional women in the workplace. However, women in the workplace, professional women, there's this view that if a woman asks for help, a professional woman asks for help, that's a sign of weakness and a sign of incompetence. Now, we can, of course, help men all day long. You know, look at some of the executives, those C-suite executives. Who is around them? Who provides the support for those C-suite executives? It's usually a female. A lot of times it's a female, right? However, when we're in those seats, if we ask for help, it's viewed as weakness and it's viewed as incompetence. So that's another thing that women are often battling because we do not we do not want to be viewed as being incompetent. We do not want to be viewed as weak in those positions. We're talking about why high achievers resist help. I've just shared the cultural messaging that we receive. I've talked about professional conditioning. Also, historical context. There's a historical context to all of this, right? Where in the workplace, as it relates to professional careers, we've had to prove ourselves. We've had to show that we're competent. We've had to be independent. And, you know, going into careers where men dominated, we had to be independent because we couldn't rely on men to be supportive of us, especially early on when women started advancing and moving into careers that were male dominated. Generational. Women over 40 grew up in an era where, again, there weren't a lot of women in the workplace, there weren't a lot of women in professional roles, and many women were homemakers. They stayed home, they took care of the children, they took care of the house, they took care of the family. And so we viewed different models of strength. Anybody who's over 40, a woman over 40, view different models of strength. And so there's a generational aspect to why high achievers resist asking for help. And then there's an intersectional layer to it. And that intersectional layer is something that I know very well. As a Black female, a woman of color, I grew up in a household where Black women were expected to be strong and show strength. We could not be weak. We we couldn't. We just couldn't be weak. We had to bear everybody's everything all the time. And that is something that's prevalent today. In my private practice, I see women all the time who are coming in because they're depressed, because they're anxious, and or because they're grieving a loss. And one of the things that they always say, they consistently say to me is that I have to be strong for my family. I usually ask what that means to them. And what it usually means is that they cannot show any weakness. They have to be the ones who are the pillars, who hold up everything for everybody at all times. So, what does this really mean? Why high achievers resist help? We've had cultural messages. We've been conditioned professionally. There's a historical context. There's a generational aspect to it, and also intersectional layer to it. What does this really mean? Well, basically, when we were taught to be independent, when we were taught not to ask for help, it was for survival. We were doing it to survive. Women who entered fields that were male dominated had to be independent for survival. Basically, Black women who had to be strong in the household and pass that down to their daughters, who passed it down to their daughters, and so on, had to be strong because they were trying to survive and they were trying to teach other generations of Black women to survive. And it's not so different from other women of color. The other thing is, because we have been taught that independence was our survival mechanism, our means of survival, it's caused us to be isolated. And we are missing the benefit of community. We are missing the benefit of being in a community of supportive people whom we can go to and ask for help and just receive it. Just receive it. The other thing is when that has to be noted is we're not strong because we do things on our own or we do everything on our own. We're strong because we've built systems that work for us. That's the one thing that we need to remember. We've created systems of operation within our homes, within our workplaces, within our departments that work for us. Isolation doesn't work for us. It's the systems that we've created that work for us. The other thing is, asking for help is not weakness, it's wisdom. High achievers who resist help need to understand that when you ask for help, it's really a sign of wisdom and not a sign of weakness. So I've just talked about why high achievers resist help. And this is just the first part of the hidden cost women pay for doing everything all alone. So let's talk about isolation. I also talk to women in my private practice who feel that they are isolated. If they feel as if they are walking through life all by themselves because they don't feel that they have a supportive community. So what does isolation really look like? When a person feels isolated and where there is isolation, there's also burnout and chronic stress. You don't have relief. There's no one who can witness what you're doing. And also, there's no one to share the load. So there's the experience of burnout and chronic stress. And we know that chronic stress leads to distress, and it also wears on the body. It causes, it contributes to illness and chronic health conditions that can be debilitating. Another thing that isolation causes is shallow relationships. So when I talk about shallow relationships, I'm talking about surface level relationships. I'm talking about how people know what you do. They know that you're capable. They know that you're accomplished. They know that you can take care of things. And that's how they see you. They see you as the person who takes care of things. They see you as the fix it person. They see you as the person who they can go to make sure that things are being handled. They don't always see you as the human who has vulnerabilities. They also aren't able to get to know the real you. Um, when we're in shallow relationships, people know you on the surface, but they don't know the intimate parts of you. They don't know, they just go by what they think or what they assume by the things that they see. So, again, shallow relationships only add to the feeling of isolation. Another thing that isolation causes is we miss opportunities. Think about all the opportunities that we miss because we are isolated from other people. Um, we can only grow so much and we can only scale so far using our own capacity. We can't leverage, we can't delegate, and we can't collaborate. And all of those things, leveraging, delegating, and collaborating, all of those things are used to grow. And so we miss out. And that's not only in the workplace, but that's also for individuals, women who have their own businesses that they're trying to grow. It's important to have connected relationships, relationships with people that you can count on and who can count on you as well. We're talking about, again, we're talking about what isolation is really taking from you. I'm I flipped it and I'm talking about what it's causing. It's causing burnout and chronic stress, shallow relationships, missed opportunities. I'm also going to share that it also contributes to health consequences. When we are isolated or we feel isolated, there's an elevation in cortisol. Why? Because our brains are wired for for community. We feel safer when we're in community and we're healthier when we're in community. So when we don't have or when we're in shallow relationships, there are health consequences. Cortisol elevates. And we know that cortisol elevates when we're in the stress response. And you all remember this. The stress response is a physical response or physical reaction to an unspecified stimulus. So when cortisol is released, the stress response is active and it's putting a lot of pressure on our internal organs like our heart, our blood vessels, our brain because the blood pressure is up, our muscles are tight, like we're about to fight or run. Um, we're in the stress response when cortisol is elevated. Not only that, because cortisol is elevated and it stays elevated, it does, it causes, like I said, health conditions that can be chronic, right? Not only that, There's inflammation that's caused as a health consequence. Our immune system is suppressed, so we are more prone to illnesses, cold, flu, whatever's going around. Now, this is something that you all need to also remember when it's cold and flu season. If you are stressed, the likelihood of your catching a cold and flu is higher than it would be if you were not stressed. And that's because when we're stressed and the stress response is active, our immune system is suppressed. We can't fight it off like we would if we were not stressed. Also, when the health consequences associated with shallow relationships are we don't sleep well. Our sleep is disrupted. We toss and turn, and we wake up not feeling rested, or we wake up in the middle of the night and we can't go back to sleep. So that's another consequence. Shallow relationships also lead to a loss of joy. That's because everything becomes a task. Everything is an obligation. We're not connected and we don't have reciprocity or reciprocal give and take. We're the ones doing everything all the time for everybody all at once. Yep. Talking about isolation and what it takes from us and what it causes. Burnout and chronic stress, shallow relationships, missed opportunities, health consequences, and a loss of joy. For those of you who are professional women, and even if for those of you who are, in the household, when we have shallow relationships, we are modeling the same to our children, to people we mentor, and to other women. I just want to pause there because that's a big deal when we are modeling that. And it's modeling dysfunction, really. We're not modeling healthy responses to the environment. Last but not least, when we are in shallow relationships, there's an inability to be vulnerable. Again, I hear this all the time from women who come to my practice, where they have to be strong for everybody else, and they don't want to show that they're vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a flaw. It's not a flaw. It's natural. We can't do everything. We're not Atlas holding up the world. We can't do it all. Why do we act like we can? Because we can't. We really can't. And when we cannot show vulnerability, we don't know how to ask for help, and we also don't know how to receive help. Those are big deals. If we can't ask, we can't receive. And if we don't know how to ask, we don't know how to receive. So I've talked about what isolation is really taking from you and what it's causing. Burnout, chronic stress, shallow relationships, missed opportunities, health consequences like elevated cortisol, which means the stress response is activated and constantly going, loss of joy, we're modeling dysfunction, and we have an inability to express or show vulnerability. The thing is, we're not protecting anybody when we're trying to be strong. We're not protecting anybody when we're trying to be strong and not asking for help. We're really excluding people. And a lot of times when we're in situations where other people need us, other people also want to be included. They don't want to be excluded. Burnout isn't a badge either. Sometimes we wear burnout as a badge of honor. Like, I'm so tired. How often have you heard other women say, I am exhausted. I'm so tired. I can't hardly make it, but they're constantly going. Again, I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a sign that you need to build a system that works for you, and that your system needs to include other people who can support you and support what you're trying to do. Last but not least, I want to say that isolated people who feel that they're isolated, people who feel as if they're alone, people who feel as if they're going through all by themselves, people who feel as if they're doing the thing by themselves, everything, all the time, for everybody, they're usually surrounded by people. There are people around them. They just will not ask for help. Now, I know there are those of you who are out there who are watching, who are listening, who are saying, yes, but there are times when I've asked for help and I don't get it. There are times when I've reached out and nobody comes to my rescue. Well, I'm going to drop a video this week that talks about how we can build reciprocal support systems. And I'm going to share with you practical steps on how to go about that and how to do it. So I have been talking about the hidden costs women pay for doing everything all alone. And the two subjects, the two main themes that I talked about were why high achievers resist help and what isolation is really taking from you. Think about those things. This is, again, the second pillar of that thing that I am sharing with you. I'm sharing one pillar every week. Next week, it'll be something a little bit different. But please stay with me, because I want you to be the first to know what that thing is. I'm very excited about it. I'm excited about how it's going to help you and those you love stay healthy mentally and emotionally, as well as keep your stress levels down. Well, that's all for now. I'm glad you joined me. I'm Marcyline Bailey. Hey, look for that video next week. I'm going to drop it, okay? As always, take good care.